And finally, we are at build day once again when we look at the Transformers Power of the Primes Titan Class Predaking, all as one huge combiner. This time in the latest GotBot True Review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Stick around, have some fun with us. Check out the channel, man. You know, see what it is that catches your interest. Have a look for me everywhere. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, and Transformers Collectors NL. And this is build day, indeed, and I am excited. This is not only the apex of my look at the Power of the Primes Titan Class Predaking, but really it's my apex to the addendum to a series that I started in January and February called Considering Predaking in 2018, where I sort of started right from those glory days of G1 through Transformers Prime, which was a highly stylized Predaking, right up to a number of third-party offerings that we have, namely TFC's Ares, which I only sort of touch on because I don't really have access to that. A lot of people have said that if you have a Studio Ox collection, that's probably the best one to go with it. Maybe, because it is highly stylized. Beyond Ares, though, I more closely looked at the recognized king being Feral Rex, as well as the Jinbao Oversized KO and Unique Toys Warlord. And I had done a lot of speculating about the Titan Class Predaking and what we could get, because it wasn't revealed really at the time other than the kind of wing pack of Dive Bomb. And now we are finally to that point where we can see the whole thing combined and where we can kind of give a final analysis about all the options out there so that you can make the most informed decision possible about what fits best for your collection. We're going to see all of the Power of the Primes Predacons in their beast modes and then in their robot modes as groups, or as a group. And then finally we're going to very quickly, without much explanation, run through the entire transformation, and I mean pretty quickly, because I want to show just how fast all these individual ones can come together. It's pertinent. And then we'll kind of look at Predaking combined. We will show him next to Devastator, next to the other Decepticon Power of the Primes combiners, and we'll kind of have the question asked, do you think he fits in best with a chug scale collection, or do you think this guy fits in best with a chug scale collection? And of course we'll talk about whether or not he might be able to be used for Masterpiece. There's a lot to cover here, man, so don't go away. In fact, head over to the table with me right now, and we will take a closer look at them/him. So when I started this whole endeavor, I looked at these guys like this, out of package, and said, hey, they all look boxy and bulky, real boxy and bulky, and they do. Like, over here with Headstrong and same with Thorax, they're huge bellies because of those ginormous backpacks. The Panther over here doesn't look like a panther, barely looks like a cat to me. This guy is okay, like Razorclaw is alright, but I feel like the head, or at least his mane, is pretty stylized, and he doesn't really seem to have a tail. And I think the biggest success of them all is Dive Bomb, who looks like an imposing bird of prey and has an impressive wingspan. Though I didn't mention it in his review, some people may dislike the fact that his wing tips, when they come out, his feathers, we'll say, are all one piece. And some might say, hey, we could use an upgrade kit for that. In fact, I mentioned an upgrade kit a few times. I mentioned it for things like his hands having the spikes, because the stock ones don't. I mentioned it for none of them having the swords that they're supposed to have. Now, to be fair, there is an upgrade kit by DNA Designs that remedies a lot of this. Like, it will give new wings to Dive bomb if you don't like these, although I like these fine, but if you want your feather pieces to splay out, like, you'll have that option. It seems to be giving them all their swords, which I think is cool, I guess, I suppose. It's giving Predaking his sword. That's something we'll see that he's kinda missing. And it's actually giving more articulated hands with spikes on the knuckles that you can show or not show. So, like, I could see an upgrade kit helping this. What about just as he is? It's still pretty good, but this is not their strong mode. They are a little bit stronger in this mode. The robots make a fine group of Predacons. There's no doubt about it. Here, this is the whole group, however, next to Deluxe Class Wreckgar. I mean, they're all much bigger. They're all billed as Voyagers, but I feel like this is an enormous difference. Like, they're absolutely towering over a Deluxe Class figure. In fact, I feel like in a lot of ways they sort of tower over a Voyager figure. I have a Lita 1 there, and I feel like these guys are substantially bigger, which maybe is okay because of who they are. And here they are with a Leader Class figure, which they don't tower over, but they certainly rival. So they're big Voyagers. That being said, while a lot of people think they should be Voyagers, I'm not so sure. I feel like they should probably be like the other, like Combiner Wars-esque type of Combiners, where he would be a Voyager and the rest of them Deluxes, just so they match. Now, some people might say, hey, yeah, but in G1, that Combiner was bigger than all of them. And sure he was. He towered over them. And this is a nice nod to the kind of scaling of the G1 toy, because it was much bigger, he should be much bigger. But in terms of the animation, though he was larger, I don't know if he was this much larger. Maybe he was, and I'm remembering wrong. But here's my own personal gripe. And this is not a gripe against the figures. This is my own personal gripe. I find it difficult to buy 5 animals turning into something the same size as 6 enormous industrial construction vehicles. That's my only thing. Speaking of getting in combined mode, we're going to do that next, and I'm going to kind of not say a word. I'm going to show you, however, with each one of these, how quickly we can get into the combined mode. That's one of the strengths of this. Getting him into combined mode. Of all the ones, the KO, the Unique Toys one, Ares, all of them, this guy is bar none the easiest to get into combined mode. I'm giving that a 10. An absolute 10 for the transformation. And you'll see it right now. We're going to get each thing ready, and we're going to start off real quickly with Dive Bomb. And so, starting with Dive Bomb very quickly and easily, we'll just close up the face, bring out that and that. These fold up like this. Put in the hand if you didn't already. Put in the hand if you didn't already. These both come forward. Do not put them together yet. Take the waist, bring it forward and up. Then sandwich those around. Bring that head out over. Take the backpack and slide it off. Up and over. Up and over. Put in the toes, put in the toes. Peg that together. Turn this way, arm, done. Backpack. And so here we go with the backpack. That. This goes up. Open out, slot in, open out, slot in. Backpack, done. Next, let's say we go with the other arm next. Hand up, leg up, hand up, leg up, not that that one's quite up. Peg together, head down, arm in, turn at waist, and boom, arm done. Next one, please. We have 2 arms. How about a leg? Head out, piece up, hip down, turn at side, arms, in, arm, in, hooves down, fold it in, foot and shin up over, peg in, foot and shin up over, peg in, rotate up, rotate up. We're going to have to sandwich a foot in between, but there you go, leg done. Next one, please. And now just to snazz it up and be different here, we're going to put the head forward and pick the leg up, turn it, bring it down. We're going to put the arms in. Oh wait, we're not snazzing it up at all. We're doing the exact same thing because this guy's the exact same transformation. Up, over, peg on, up, over, peg on, rotate up, boom, there's another leg. We have 2 legs, 2 arms, it's only a torso to go, man. Which brings us back to doing this dude quickly. Head in, up, rotate around. There's a section here on the back. You bring that out. You split them at the waist. You bring Predaking's huge head out. You close the waist back up and you put Predaking's head back down. You take these shoulders here, you bring them down and bring this up around the side. You bring the shoulder down and fold the little blaster thing up around the side. Hand in, rotated bicep, down and rotated bicep. There's a little rectangular peg that goes up into the yellow. Little rectangular peg that goes up into the yellow. That's probably the hardest part. Pick those up for now. Take the front of the shin. It's going to come up over, shin, up over, as if we're going back to line mode. You need to line those up, peg it in, down the side, peg it in, down the side, bring down, and boom, there you go, a torso mode. Oops. Out. Now all we gotta do is put the guy together and put on some hands and feet, and that's it. And since we have to put the feet and hands in, we might as well start from the legs and work our way up. That makes sense, don't you think? So down here, we basically, in between the 2 legs, we need to sandwich this. It probably helps to untab that right there for now. We bring this down around and we have 2 square holes and 2 square holes. The square pegs that are used to attach on over these gold painted pieces in animal mode so that this stays on are the pegs that you use. You're basically getting them in on one side. That sounds kind of complicated, but maybe I'll show a bit better with the other side, with the other leg. We'll see. Of course now, it's giving me pain. There we go, I got it in on one side. And then on the other side. There. And we tab those in, and now we have a leg with a foot. Now, just to clarify what it is I'm talking about as we do the other leg here, we have 2 square pegs right here and 2 on the other side, and that's what sandwiches in between the 2 legs into these 2 slots right here, and of course there's 2 on the other leg. So basically you're taking the foot and sandwiching it up here. And now we can move on to the torso. We have a piece on the belly of Razorclaw that slots in just under this little lip and this little lip. Besides that, we have like another couple of pieces that kind of run down the side a little bit, slide in right there and right there part way, and then all of these tab on in different sections. It's a lot, but when it's done, it's pretty secure. And just to clarify what we're talking about here with Razorclaw, this is the section that slots in, this slots down under the very front, and there's a little yellow, I guess, rectangular tab here and here. That's what slides in as well to lock this guy in place. So that in the end it looks like this. And I really didn't know how to exactly show you me sliding two pieces together. That's why I showed you all the bits and pieces. Then it comes to the legs. They're a bit easier to show. We have a big space right here, and we have a big flat piece on the leg. And I just pushed that body piece in a little bit. Oh, by the way, I do fill in the back of the body by putting his feet in there. A lot of people seem to either leave it hollow, or they say the feet don't fill it up very well. I don't know, I find the feet filled up pretty good. You know, it's not bad. It's not perfect, but like, it's not bad. He has a back at least. So for the legs, I guess we bring in a leg. And we have a leg here. Oh, we can't even see this. We're going to have to back things up a bit first. Alas, such is life when we're dealing with a Titan. And we bring this down. And it slides down there. Oh, this didn't work out as well as I'd like because I wanted him to slide down both of them at the same time. Oh, well. But there, like, there he is. You know, I guess with legs, and he gets tall, really tall. By the way, you'll notice that, maybe you won't notice, let's angle this up a bit. Now you'll probably notice that the wings are still free flowing here because they will actually peg onto the arms, not the body itself. Speaking of arms, we need to put hands on them first, so we're going to take him out of it and focus on the arms for a second. I know, I tricked you, I'm sorry. You probably thought that I was just going to put the arms on, but we do have to put the hands in. The hands have a bunch of little rectangular slots here. There's a little rectangular peg on the, I guess, edges here. We really just take the hand, put it over, put over that rectangular peg there, and we slot it in. We got one arm now finished. The other arm, a little bit more complicated. And on to good old Dive Bomb here. And this arm isn't complicated because it's harder to put the hand on. It's not. Still just put it in there when you get it lined up correctly. There. When you get it lined up correctly, like, the hand is still in there fine, no problem. But there's another part to this guy. His arm cannon. And Predaking's arm cannon is made up of two pieces, the blaster for Rampage and the blaster for Razorclaw, and they will, the way that these two go together, because we have two pegs here, or sorry, we have two slots here and two pegs here. We line them up and in they go. There is the huge arm cannon. By the way, there is a peg up here and a peg down here, so there's really two ways to display it in the arm. Since we have a peg right here, we could use the peg on the lower blaster and have it kind of the length of his hand. But the way you're supposed to do it is to use the one that's on Razorclaw's blaster and have it be longer than his hand. We'll see this better in combined mode, of course. Come on now, you remember combined mode, don't you? That's what we left this guy at when we left him with no arms. Well, we're going to put them on now. Remember, there are sliders. So, on this side over here, there's a slider right here, and we bring in the arm. And assuming we line it up properly, which is always my biggest challenge with this, it's not hard, it's just lining it up properly. There we go. And we just slide that down. And on the other side, we do the same thing. Here's our slider. We just gotta line it up. I found it easier on this side. And we slide it down. And we have him together, but we're still missing one last little pièce de résistance, and that would be the cannons over his shoulder. As I said, we have little pegs in the back of the shoulder pieces we need to use those. Before I put on those shoulder pieces, I'm going to peg his wings in. They just peg on over some tabs that are there to hold him in place. And this one comes up and over to hold it in place. We'll angle out his actual wings. And we'll take one of these shoulder cannons. And that's the shoulder blaster done on one side. It was a little bit more of a struggle than I thought it would be, but that's only because the tolerance is tight for the peg in the slot that this goes into. And I had to try and find it. Over on this side, again, angle the wing section back, access the slot in behind, and there we go. Both of them are on. You can move them up and all the way back, down, same thing, up, back, and down if you want. Okay, now we need to start grading this guy. We're going to see a bunch of comparisons very, very shortly, but for now, just the same comparisons that we've done all along with them. Right there with the deluxe class. Right there with a Voyager class. And with a leader class. He is indeed much larger. The transformation, like I said, is a 10. It's not hard. I mean, I might have struggled with pegging these in, but like that's just a matter of me being, you know, clumsy. Honestly, it's just a matter of me being clumsy. Nothing is hard with this guy. That's why I said 10. In terms of the paint apps, if we're talking about animation, no, he's not animation accurate other than the cannon being on this arm, because he should have red feet, he should have red thighs. He doesn't have either. He just doesn't. So, again, I can't really grade him that way. If we didn't have the stickers on his wings, I would be more tempted to grade him that way. The upgrade kit will help him, but he's great just as is. Of course, all of that being said, he is completely reversed of the toy. Like, we should have Dive Bomb and Headstrong on the other side of the body. And we should have the cannon for toy form on the other side of the body. The cannon should have some silver on it. He does not have his big sword. Like the individual Predacons, Predaking is missing his iconic huge sword. But, that being said, the color layout is largely quite accurate. And because the color layout is quite accurate, I'm going to say that as a version of Predaking based on the toy, he's a solid 9. Like, he is really good. Really good. Of course, arguably, this line head might be too stylized for some people. It's a bit too stylized for me. The mane looks too angular. But, speaking objectively, yeah, it's easily a 9. Easily a 9. So we have a 10, we have a 9. He is indeed strong. Warlord, by the way, who we'll see shortly, in terms of paint apps was a 9.5. And the KO Rex or Feral Rex is an 8.5. It is certainly more stylized, especially if you use all 6 bots. So this guy's right smack dab in the middle of both, we'll say the KO and Warlord. In terms of transformation, Warlord is only about a 6. He's a bit of a nuisance to put into Predaking mode. The KO is about a 7.5. The actual Feral Rex is about a 9. This guy's a 10. And then we come to the articulation. The fact is, Warlord's articulation was a 9.5. A lot of people complain about it. There are some loose joints, I get it, but he does everything you'd want him to do. The KO of Feral Rex is only about a 7 because it is very flippy-floppy. It looks great, but it's very flippy-floppy. The actual Feral Rex is more like a 9. It's pretty good. But, oh, and we all know that Ares has a reputation for basically falling apart. I don't know it personally, but I've seen enough that I'm waiting for somebody to say, hey, he doesn't fall apart. What about this guy? Well, the head goes left and right. We know how the wings move. We know how the cannons move. It can look up if you untab it. Can't really look down. The arms, I just untabbed that waist there. The arms come out on a ratchet. If you get this out of the way, they can come all the way out, which I think is cool. We have a bicep swivel, and that's true for both arms. The elbow goes only to about there. We have a wrist swivel. I wish you had a deeper elbow. Does the elbow go deeper on the other side? I don't think so. Not really. Not really. The elbow's not the best. But again, well out, I just popped the cannon off because I didn't lift it up. That was me being reckless. Give me a moment. Getting the arms up and out of the way. We have a waist on the guy, so that's good. In terms of the legs, well forward on a pretty strong ratchet. Well back, same thing, strong ratchet. We have a thigh swivel. We have over, well, 90 degrees, if not a little bit over at the knees, and that's pretty strong. And we have ankle tilt for the guy. So you can indeed get this guy in some really dynamic poses. He's not perfect, but some really dynamic poses indeed. I'm going to say that his articulation, well, you know, he was getting a 10 and a 9. It was a 9.5. His articulation is pretty good. I wish the elbows were deeper. I wish the shoulders were less hindered, especially on this side with the shoulder cannon. So I'm going to say that his articulation is about a 9. It was a 9.5. He's a 9.25. He's a solid Predaking. There's no doubt about it. But is he the Predaking for you? Case in point. Here is the Titan Class Predaking next to Unique Toys Warlord. And like, there's two things really to talk about with relation to the power of the Primes Predaking. One, does it fit in a chug scaled collection? That's the first thing. I concluded through the Consideration of Predaking series that I thought that the best chug representation and the most G1 accurate representation of Predaking at the time was Unique Toys Warlord, and I still stand by it, but I think only barely because of the fact that the chest is more accurate. There's no mistaking that. Plus, all the limbs are in the right location. The only thing that I wish for this guy is that his cannon was over on the other arm, and he does have his sword. I don't have it down here at the moment, but he does have a sword. It does peg into his hand. This was right for me. It might not be right for you. The other thing to consider is, could this guy, because of his size, fit in with a masterpiece styled collection? He might be slightly small for masterpiece, and the detailing might be slightly simplified for masterpiece, though I do think he might fit in nicely if you gear your masterpiece collection toward the like cartoon accurate redecos that we're getting now, like Sideswipe and Shockwave that we had, and most recently Wheeljack. It might fit in best with that sort of masterpiece display. Of course, it's up to you. You might think it fits great with your MPs, maybe you don't. You might think it fits great with your chugs, maybe you don't. So, I would say this. In terms of being a chug representation, this is cheaper, it's also smaller, and it's about the same size, slightly bigger, more mass, but only maybe an inch or so taller than a Combiner Wars figure. We'll see that shortly. This guy over here is more expensive, but he's also more bought. He is about the same price as the KO Feral Rex, and he is far more secure than the KO Feral Rex. The KO Feral Rex stands nicely, it displays great, fantastic if that's your goal, but with the big lower legs and whatnot. He is very kind of flippy floppy, and that makes me personally kind of nervous with him, though he looks impeccable and he looks like he belongs on a MP shelf. So does Feral Rex for that matter, but I think he's too small for MPs. Feral Rex is easily the most costly. He's also now one of the smaller options. Then you have Ares, again now one of the smaller options. And then that leaves us with three. The cheapest option, and rightfully so. When this guy first came out, he was, you know, like $500. No, he's not worth that at all. The only reason that I think this is a good representation of Predaking is because you can get the whole set now for about 120 bucks. Huge difference and a huge markdown, and he's definitely worth 120 bucks. But when we look at the two most comparable in terms of cost and in terms of size, it has to be the Jinbao KO of Feral Rex and the power of the Primes Predaking. And at the end of the day, while I think the KO looks better, I think that this guy is overall better constructed, easier to put together and take apart, and just plain more fun. Now, that's just me. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course, about this guy. Before, however, you kind of make a final decision, let's just see him with some other combiners, some other common ones, and you can decide for yourself. And of course, here he stands next to the other Titan class combiner that's his size, the mighty Devastator. And they do look good together. Like, there's no mistaking that they do look absolutely great together. Are they both too big? I don't know. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But they do look very nice together. That being said, if it's true that Toy World's Constructor is an MP-style Devastator, in fact, the go-to MP-style Devastator, then is this guy's biggest Constructor? I feel like Constructor is much bigger than him. Food for thought. And here we have the main Decepticon 5. This is our official releases. Of course, my custom Abominus, who I looked at not that long ago. Menasor, who is definitely the lackluster one of the bunch because of that torso. I am looking forward. I believe Toy World is doing a replacement torso for him. I'm looking forward to that. And Bruticus, and I believe we're getting a replacement torso for Bruticus, if I'm not mistaken, a brand new Onslaught. Oh, and by the way, just today, the new Blastoff showed up, so I'm looking forward to looking at that, because honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the plane on there or use the shuttle. I'm kind of out on that yet, but this is the whole group officially. So do you think that Predaking looks good here and fits in? Do you think he's the appropriate size? I personally think that he's too big. Yes, he looks great, but I think he's too big. I don't think he should be as big as Devastator. Devastator was the first combiner. He holds a certain, I don't know, place of honor, at least to me. And even though I'm not a huge fan of the G1 Devastator because it's a brick, I respect that it was the first. I respect that it's where combiners started, and like there's 6 of him. Maybe he should be bigger. They're huge construction vehicles. Maybe it should be bigger. So does this look more right to you, or does something like this size seem more accurate, where he is a bit bigger than the other combiners, but not tremendously so? That's up to you to decide. I like this scale and it works for me, but I can't deny that the power of the Primes Predaking is pretty awesome in his own right. So what exactly does all of this mean for Predaking in 2018? If you've been on the shelf wondering which one to get, what should I do? Because I was for a long time. I waited to see what we were going to get officially. I had to make the choice that worked for me, based on cost and based on styling and based on the slant of my personal collection. The Unique Toys Warlord worked best for me. I know other people who, based on their collection, Feral Rex works best for them. And you know what? They have the scratch to get him. He's retained his value because he is that good. Some other people like more stylized things. I know a couple of people who, they don't live close to me unfortunately, who really collect things more based on the Studio Ox designs, and they find that the Ares fits in well with that. I could see that. I know other people who like big bots, who have Masterpiece and KO Masterpiece, and for them, the oversized Jinbao KO fits in best. And for people, this guy will fit in best, especially those who like only official product. Does he have a place? Yes, he certainly does. If you want a huge bot for a reasonable price who is stable and fun, him. Hands down. If you have a taste like me, then maybe this isn't the one for you. If you're an MP collector, while right now I think the go-to is probably the Jinbao, based on just displaying it, there's a big argument to be said for this one as well. And truth is, I don't really think we have any actual MP Predaking yet. But for now, with the 4 options that we have, well, 5 if you include the KO, I think they all have a place with the right collector. So, what do you think about this guy? Does he fit in your collection? Well, that's for you to decide, but I can tell you this much. Overall, he's very strong. Remember, we had an we had a 9 for his paint apps, we had a 10 for his transformation, and his articulation was about an 8.5. Overall, the guy's a solid 9. It's a solid combiner. The plastic feels good. If you've been on the fence about him, I don't think you need to be on the fence any longer because he is fun, he is secure, and I think you'll learn pretty quickly that he's one of the best combiners in your collection. So stable, and I like standing. Even just for standing. He is one of the steadiest transformers. Forget about combiners, he's one of the steadiest transformers I've ever handled. And that, to me, says a lot. Just in case I didn't show that one little piece during the conversion, I told you early on that if I didn't look at Onyx Prime by himself, that I was absolutely going to forget about him. Anyway, here we are once again, and this, of course, is Predaking combined, man. Combined. And he looks pretty glorious, I'm not gonna lie. However, all of that being said, there's a couple of weird oddities with him. Like, I understand why the hands don't have the spikes and the pointy tips. I get it, but it's not accurate. And I find it really weird that the 2 limbs on this side and the 2 limbs on this side are mirrored from where they actually should be in the toy. They're probably more in the position where they should be for the animation. Like, it's weird, like the layout is more animation accurate, including the cannon over on this arm, but it's an exact opposite mirror of the toy configuration, where of course this cannon is still on dive bomb, but it's over on this side. He doesn't have his sword, that's a shame. The wing pack, if you want each individual feather up here to kind of split, they don't. So let's do our final analysis, so to speak. In terms of cost, because there's 2 ways we're going to do this, cost and where he fits in. In terms of cost, the most expensive Predaking option out there is Feral Rex, and probably rightfully so. It has impeccable engineering, amazing sculpting, and has quite a presence, even though it's not as big as this guy. And it's about double the cost. It's probably not as solid and secure as this guy for double the cost. It just looks better on display. And it's a bit of a funny size. I like Feral Rex, but I feel like you need the right kind of display to fit him in. In terms of overall quality, yeah, he probably is king. Then the next down from that would be Ares for price. It looks cool. It's noted for not being stable, so that's up to you. Next down from that for cost, we have the KO Jinbao Oversized Feral Rex, which looks phenomenal. And 4 out of 5 of the individual bots are great. Even the bonus one being Catilla is amazing. But Leo, the knockoff Leo Dux is not good. not good. And when combined, though it looks amazing and has weight and stature for sure and makes a fantastic display piece, it is not at all stable in my experience. This guy, for the size that he is amazingly stable. He's more stable than Devastator, who's the same size, and he's definitely more stable than the knockoff. So I think that when it comes to like an MP-sized version of Predaking, or as close as we have currently to an MP-sized version of Predaking, I think that this guy would make a lot of people happier, even though the detailing isn't quite there. It comes down to, do you want a stable combiner standing on your shelf that you know isn't going to fall down, or do you want the KO that looks better but could definitely slip at some point? That's going to be your call. I would vote for this guy. I'm not an MP collector, and I really don't have a dog in this fight, so to speak. But if I was to pick one over the other, they're both great for different reasons. And they're both kind of imperfect for different reasons. This guy, aesthetically imperfect. Stability, great. The KO, aesthetically great. Stability, imperfect. It's a toss-up, man. And then below both of those, we have the Unique Toys Warlord, which I've said it before, I think it is the going gold standard when it comes to a chug representation of Predaking, because I think it's the right size. Now, that being said, there are those who might say, no, Predaking should be huge like Devastator. This is the right size. I can see that argument. I sure can. This is more stable than the Unique Toys version. It also costs more than the Unique Toys version. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. And it's much bigger. I'm still content with the Unique Toys version being my representation of Predaking, even though there's some parts forming and it's imperfect. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm not highly tempted by this guy. If he wasn't quite as large, like if this had been made out of a Voyager and 4 Deluxes, would it have been as stable? I don't know. I really don't know. To have the stability, it probably needed to be this big. So in terms of cost, I think that everything is kind of where it should be, except maybe for Ares. That should probably be lower. Like, I do think that Warlord is at the bottom, if for nothing else because it's the smallest of the group. So it should be the cheapest. It feels like 4 deluxe limbs and a Voyager that you would get at regular retail. That's what it feels like to me. So it should be about the cost of regular retail. The KO, you're taking what is a $500 figure, you are simplifying it, and you are upsizing it. I think that it's about the right cost. This is naturally official, original molds. It's huge, it's heavy, and again, for $159 US, I think it's about right. Now, a lot of people, of course, will wait for this guy to go on sale, and I don't blame you. Hey, if you can get him cheaper, do it, man. Do it. But if you pay full cost for him, I don't think that you're getting a bad deal anyway, because it's surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be, and then pictures and kind of, you know, chatter from the fandom made me believe. And of course, at the top we have Feral Rex. Is he still the king? Probably. Probably, because he kind of is the whole package. But again, he's not for me because it doesn't really fit in my collection. A little too big and a little too small. So let's actually put this into some numbers. Unique Toys iteration, I thought overall was about a 9. It's good. Not perfect, but it's good. But it's no better or worse than something from Combiner Wars. That's what it feels like to me. Then we have the Oversized KO. That's about an 8. It's good, but like it's not stable. It's not the easiest always to put together. It looks beautiful, but it's not the most functional. The actual Feral Rex is about a 9.5. It's about as close to perfect as you're going to get. So where does this guy come in? Awfully close to Feral Rex. This is a 9.25 overall. It has an easy, fun, solid transformation. It has pretty effective articulation for the most part, though admittedly the elbows could bend a little deeper than what they do. And the paint apps, though there's a little bit of an over-reliance, I think, on stickers, even without them, it's pretty animation accurate, so I like it. I think it succeeds. There's an add-on kit coming. Should you get that? Yeah, I think so. I think that this is a case kind of like Optimus, where the upgrade kit makes him just that much more Predaking-y, so to speak. If you've been on the fence for him, I think he's totally worth it. If you're waiting for him to kind of go for a cheaper price, I would grab it when it does, because when he is, you know, past production, you know, the only way you're getting him is in the aftermarket. I think the day will come when this guy is going to be quite costly in and of himself, because he is quite good. Naturally, the combined mode is where he shines best. Robot mode next, and the last mode where he really doesn't shine at all would be the animal modes. But come on, how often are you going to display him in animal mode? You're probably going to display them like this. Anyway, let me know what you think about this guy. I was surprised. I did not expect to enjoy him as much as I do. Color me tickled pink, because I'm glad that I like him better than I thought I was going to like him. Maybe you would too. Let me know what you think about him. Thank you for dropping by, for giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I hope, if you have been considering which Predaking matches your collection, that between what I covered in episodes 354 to 369 and now in this series, hopefully I've given you enough information to make an informed decision that works for you. I'd love to know which one you have, or which one you would like to have. As always, I thank you for dropping by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I know how important it is. Please hit the subscribe button, stick around, be part of the community here. And I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.